As automakers continue to place bets on electric vehicles and hybrids, new owners are thinking about where and how to charge their cars. A small group of companies hope to solve this very problem, aiming to create charging networks modeled after the reach and coverage of gas stations. But it's not just a question of ubiquity.
The ability to charge an electric vehicle at home is a fundamental shift in the way that we're dealing with our vehicles and powering them. You can't fill up your gas powered car at home, right? That's pretty much a non-option. So yeah, with EVs, not only is that a new thing, but it's a major convenience of having an EV.
EV infrastructure companies are grappling with a shift in consumer charging habits from charging on the go to charging at home. Tesla, meanwhile, continues to dominate EV infrastructure with a potent 1-2 punch. A first mover advantage, together with its plug adopted as a new industry standard. These forces are adding to the woes of beaten down EV charging infrastructure stocks like BLNK and ChargePoint, forcing companies to rethink and adapt their business models.
It's a huge bonus of having an EV is being able to charge at home and essentially start each day with a fresh battery charge, right? It's like starting every day with a full fuel tank. So not only is it different, but it's also a huge convenience.
That's Alex Nizek, manager of automotive testing and insights at Consumer Reports. That publication cites recent research from the Department of Energy, which shows that 80% of EV owners charge their vehicles at home. But home charging also dominates because the experience of public charging isn't really that great.
You have a lot of different charging networks that are all operating in their own kind of independent way, right? I mean, yes, today we have a bunch of different brands of gas stations effectively, but when you show up to a gas station, it's basically the same experience, right? You select which type of gas you want and the nozzle's the same. You put it in the car, takes a few minutes. But when I'm going to charge my car in a public situation, the payment method might be different from one brand to the next, or of course we are in this world where the plug type can be different.
In fact, range anxiety, once cited as a key factor holding back EV adoption, is fast being replaced by charging anxiety, Consumer Reports says.
I'm going to that new place, I'm taking a long trip, I know I can get to this particular location, but what's the charging situation going to look like when I show up? Is the charger functioning? Is there a line? Is it going to be fast?
All this spells bad news for charging infrastructure companies. Shares of BLNK charging have struggled to make meaningful gains since going public and are hovering near all-time lows. Rival ChargePoint tumbled from all-time highs in 2020, with shares in January hitting all-time lows.
I think that there is room to believe that not all of these companies are going to survive. And if these companies can't show growth and show profitability, how much capital are investors going to put into these companies? And that you've sort of seen that reflected in the stocks this year.
That was Chris Pierce, equity research at Needham & Company, who covers EV infrastructure stocks like ChargePoint and BLNK. And then there's Tesla, the supercharging superstar of the EV world, capitalizing on its first mover advantage by becoming the de facto charging plug in North America.
No doubt Tesla's supercharging network is the most reliable. We see the highest rate of satisfaction when using that system. And I can anecdotally say that that's true even for myself. And that comes down to the fact that that's up until this point really been a closed network, right? It's Tesla vehicles talking with Tesla chargers. The software is wholly compatible. So you pretty much know that your experience is going to be pretty consistent regardless of which one you go to, and the car is going to also help you get there, right? It works super well together.
The recent adoption of Tesla's plug as the new North American charging standard also means Tesla reaps additional government subsidies to standardize EV chargers. The end result? More Tesla chargers in more places. But it's not the end of the road just yet for EV infrastructure companies. Commercial and city demands could provide just enough juice for some, but not all, EV charging names.
We're coming at it from a consumer angle, but school buses, municipal companies where people don't take their cars home with them, they drive their cars to the fleet lot and they take their DPW truck out on the road. That truck needs to charge overnight somewhere. So there's consumer needs. And I think that even if you take it with a grain of salt, you still think that there will be charging infrastructure growth. And then there's fleet needs as well.
EV infrastructure companies are also focusing their efforts on streamlining their offerings to capture a not fully saturated market for public chargers.
Someone like BLNK, they're much smaller. They do $30 million in revenue. They've really done well with auto dealerships and with the post office. So that's the fleet side of the world. As long as the momentum they're seeing continues, they're a much smaller company. They can continue to grow revenues, and they're also vertically integrated, so they have industry-leading margins.
There are also other ways for EV infrastructure companies to survive.
It could be an amenity in the workplace. It can be an amenity for a retailer, and the retailer can get more data off of their consumers, what type of vehicle they drive, how often they come, how much they charge, what they spend in the store, if they own the charging, protocol and the platform in their parking lot.
In a statement to IBD, BLNK Charging says it is focused on EV charging in multifamily spaces such as apartments and rental units. In its third quarter 2023 report, BLNK Charging saw about 5% of its total revenue come from services including charging. For Investors Business Daily, this is Mike Zhuang.